You know this scene. The room is dark, the fan is spinning, your phone has been put away for hours, but inside your head, the chaos has no off button. You turn onto your side, your pillow feels warm, your chest tightens, your heart races, your mind starts racing with images, worries, fears, and sleep, which should be natural, becomes a battlefield. It seems like the more you try to rest, the more your body goes on alert. The silence of the early morning only amplifies the noise you've been carrying all day. And you think, why am I like this? Why can't I just sleep? This question, arising in the darkness, reveals something much deeper than simple insomnia. It reveals a misalignment between what you feel and what you allow yourself to feel. And this, according to Jordan Peterson, is one of the most dangerous roots of modern suffering, the denial of inner chaos. Peterson teaches us that sleep is a surrender, and no one surrenders when they don't feel safe. Your body isn't against you. It's trying to protect you from something it doesn't even fully understand, but which you've pushed under the emotional rug for too long. At night, the theater of the anxious mind takes over, because that's when everything stops, that you start to hear what you've tried to silence. You can spend all day distracting yourself, producing, posting, responding, smiling, but when you lie down, there's nowhere to escape. And that's when nighttime anxiety appears like an old character, perhaps from childhood, perhaps from recent traumas, who has never been welcomed. It sits beside you in bed and starts talking, but since you don't want to listen, it screams, with its body, with its heart, with its breath. Have you ever noticed how different nighttime fears are? During the day, you can pretend everything's fine, but at night, vulnerability comes with a vengeance. That's when the mask falls, even if you're alone. That's when the unconscious demands presence. Awake, but tired. Exhausted, but alert. The body craves rest, but the soul doesn't feel ready. This is common. This is more normal than you think. And it's not a whim. It's not drama. It's not a lack of strength. It's a sign that there's something inside you that needs to be seriously addressed. Jordan Peterson says that unaddressed chaos infiltrates your routine, your relationships, and yes, even your sleep. Because sleep isn't just physiological, it's symbolic. It represents trust. Trust that you can disconnect for a few hours and the world, internal and external, won't devour you. So listen to me carefully. Your insomnia is not the problem. It's the alarm. Your body is screaming that your soul needs shelter. The problem isn't lying down and not sleeping. The problem is lying down carrying the weight of 1,000 unresolved thoughts. And if you've made it this far, you might already understand. It's not about overcoming anxiety. It's about listening to it. Because what you don't consciously hear will haunt you in the dark. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes we're going to descend into this emotional basement together, and you won't be alone in this process anymore. Today, you're going to learn something no one has ever taught you. Sleep returns when you stop fighting the night. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine your room at night, not as it is, but as it seems when anxiety takes over. The environment changes. The darkness takes on a strange weight. The walls close in. The ceiling seems lower. And most importantly, your bed stops being a shelter and becomes a stage. A stage where your mind creates scenes, and you are the actor, the spectator, and the critic, all at the same time. It's as if, at night, you were watching a show where all the parts of yourself are given a voice. The part that is afraid, the part that failed, the part that feels ashamed, the part that is still waiting for love, and none of them are silent. Jordan Peterson says that when we don't resolve our conflicts during the day, they wait for us in the dark. Because consciousness doesn't disappear just because the sun goes down. It simply transforms into images, sensations, accelerated heartbeats. And in this mental theater, fears take shape. What you pretend to ignore emerges with brutal clarity at night. The bills you don't know how to pay, the conversation you avoided, the loneliness you pushed aside with social media, the regret you tried to drown out with productivity. At night, none of this works, because in the dark, the only sound left is your mind. It's curious how external silence amplifies internal noise. The world stops talking, and then you listen to yourself, perhaps for the first time in days. And what do you hear? Fear, anguish, insecurity, a desire to disappear, to sleep forever. But here's a harsh revelation. That noise isn't the problem. It's the echo of what you haven't allowed yourself to feel. And the body, my friend, the body doesn't lie. It remembers what you've tried to forget. It carries the accumulated tension, the unprocessed trauma, the tears you've swallowed. Jordan Peterson argues that one of the greatest modern tragedies is living numb during the day and then being tortured by the unconscious at night. So stop blaming yourself. Stop thinking you're weak or incapable. You're just hearing, perhaps for the first time, the cries that have been muffled for so long. This theater that unfolds inside your mind is not a curse. It's a request for reconnection, for the reintegration of the parts of yourself that were excluded by survival. You learn to hide your feelings to be accepted. You learn to feign strength to avoid rejection. You learn to ignore your pain to move forward. But now that everything stops, the system collapses. Because the body wants you to be whole, and sleep only comes when you're whole. The theater of the anxious mind only dismantles when you listen to each character honestly. When you look at yourself without judgment. When you say internally, I see you, I hear you, I will no longer run from myself. And maybe, just maybe, it's in this moment of deep listening that sleep will come again, because it recognizes when you're willing to stop acting and start being real. You're struggling with sleep and you don't even realize it. And that's exactly the problem. You lie down, waiting for your body to shut down like a machine. You close your eyes, trying to force a shutdown. You hold your breath, hoping it will calm your heart. You clutch the pillow as if it will protect you from what's inside you. But sleep doesn't work by force. It doesn't respect orders. It comes when there is trust. And trust can't be forced. It's earned. Jordan Peterson puts it bluntly. The man who tries to control what he does not understand becomes a slave to what he fears. And this applies perfectly to anxious sleep. You're trying to control something that demands surrender. And the paradox is cruel. The more you try to control sleep, the more it eludes you. The more you demand it come, the more your body arms itself, as if under attack. And here comes a powerful metaphor. It's like being stuck in emotional quicksand. Nighttime anxiety is the sand, and the desperation to sleep is the movement that sinks you even deeper. Have you ever noticed this? The more you try to stop thinking, the more your thoughts scream. The more you try to calm down, the faster your heart races. It's as if there's a conflict between parts of you, one trying to rest, the other on high alert. And what would Peterson tell us here? That internal chaos needs to be acknowledged, not aggressively fought. You don't sleep because you're at war, and no one sleeps in war. This conflict arises because you've learned that resting is a waste of time, that stopping is dangerous, that feeling is weakness, that letting your guard down is exposing yourself. So even if you consciously say, I want to sleep, unconsciously something inside you screams, it's not safe. And what do? You try to overcome it like you're fighting an enemy. But sleep isn't an enemy. And nighttime anxiety, as painful as it is, isn't either. She's a messenger, a part of you that needs to be heard. And that's precisely what you've been avoiding. You fight sleep because it brings you face to face with the thing you've spent the whole day trying to avoid, yourself. But listen, carefully now. Take a deep breath. You don't need to win anything tonight. You don't need to master your mind or conquer your body. You just need to stop fighting with what you feel. And that, in itself, changes everything. Because when you stop forcing sleep, it starts to creep in, like a wild animal that only approaches those who pose no threat. Acceptance isn't giving up. It's creating space. It's saying, okay, anxiety, I feel you. I'm not going to pretend you don't exist anymore. I'm not going to try to suffocate you anymore. It's at this point that the body begins to trust. And when the body trusts, it allows itself to rest. If this resonates with you in any way, please subscribe and like. This will help this video reach someone who might be desperate right now, and you'll have been a part of that. Imagine for a moment that your nighttime anxiety isn't a mistake, a defect, or an isolated disorder. Imagine that it's actually a language, a code, a message your body and mind created because they couldn't find any other way to alert you. Insomnia with anxiety doesn't just happen. It's a legitimate manifestation of something that's disorganized within you. And what's disorganized demands attention. Jordan Peterson constantly reminds us, if you ignore what your body is trying to tell you, it screams. And the scream of nighttime anxiety is loud, piercing, and suffocating. But it's not gratuitous. It's a request to listen. How many times throughout the day did you repress your feelings? How many times did you mask exhaustion with more work? How many times did you feel anger, fear, or sadness, and instead of embracing it, you judged, stifled, and swallowed hard? Well, remember, the body doesn't forget, the mind records, and the unconscious stores everything you didn't have the courage to process. At night, when everything slows down, this psychic content presents itself, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. Your nighttime anxiety is saying, you are overwhelmed, you're scared, you feel alone, you lost control, you are trying to carry more than you can carry, and you know it, but you live as if you don't, because it's easier to ignore than to face. It's quicker to pretend everything's okay than to stop, breathe, and admit you're lost. Peterson argues that denial of suffering doesn't eliminate suffering, it merely transforms it into illness. And anxiety is one of these illnesses of denial, not of weakness, as many think, but of repression. And here's the crux. Nighttime anxiety doesn't want to punish you. It wants to wake you up. It wants to jolt you out of automatic mode. It wants to remind you that you're alive, that you need care, that you're not a productivity machine. But to do that, you need to stop treating her like an enemy. What happens if tonight you decide to listen to what she has to say? What if, instead of resisting, you embrace it? What if, instead of fighting, you said, "Speak, I'm listening"? This shift in posture, as simple as it may seem, is radical, because it transforms the bedroom from a battlefield into a listening space. It transforms the body from a prisoner into a messenger. It transforms insomnia from punishment into conversation. And this is what Peterson means when he talks about integrating chaos. This is what Jung called making the unconscious conscious, because what you refuse to see over time begins to dominate you. So look within, look with courage. Your nighttime anxiety is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath it are unresolved stories, unsustained pressures, unnamed pains. And all this just wants to be seen, named, welcomed. When this happens, something inside you aligns. And for the first time in a long time, your body begins to trust again. And sleep, it returns. But not as a reward. It returns as a natural consequence of someone who has stopped ignoring themselves. There's a profound misconception that keeps people from healing themselves. The idea that accepting anxiety is surrendering to it, that accepting chaos is becoming weak, that accepting pain is conforming. But this, as Jordan Peterson emphasizes, is a dangerous distortion. Acceptance isn't giving up. Acceptance means stopping the internal abuse. It's aligning with the emotional reality that already exists, and which, however uncomfortable it may be, needs a place in your consciousness. Denying anxiety doesn't make it go away. Repressing it doesn't solve the problem. Resisting it only creates more friction. It's like holding a rope too tightly. The harder you pull, the more it hurts your hand. And maybe that's what's happening to you at night. You lie down and pull the cord of denial, of demands, of anger against yourself. But the more force you apply, the more exhausted you become. And sleep remains elusive. So here's a new possibility. What if you let go of that rope? Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. True acceptance is an act of maturity. It's when you look within and say, yes, I'm looking forward to it. Yes, I'm scared. Yes, I don't know what to do. And from this recognition, something begins to take shape, because truth has a power of its own. When you stop resisting the truth of what you feel, you begin to regain energy. Energy that was being wasted trying to maintain a lie of stability. Peterson says, accountability begins when you see yourself with brutal honesty, and that's exactly what acceptance allows. Honesty. No masks, no theatrics, no canned phrases. It's common for people to think they'll only get better when they stop feeling anxious. But the truth is the opposite. You only start to get better when stop running away from her. Escape wears you down. Resistance tires you out. Denial makes you sick. But acceptance aligns you. And when you're aligned with your inner truth, your body senses it. It recognizes that you're no longer at war. And little by little, the tension subsides. Your mind slows down, your heart finds a new rhythm, and sleep returns. But be careful. Accepting doesn't mean resigning yourself to suffering. It means stopping denying its existence, because only what is accepted can be transformed. And here's a profound point. Sleep is a form of trust, and you only trust when you feel you're being true to yourself. You no longer need to prove strength. You no longer need to overcome the invisible. You just need to align with what you already are, and from there, rebuild. In practice, this acceptance translates into a small symbolic gesture. When you go to bed tonight, don't say, "I need to sleep." Say, "I accept that I'm anxious right now, and that's okay." Say this as a pact of reconciliation with what you feel, a pact of peace with your history. And believe me, sleep recognizes those who are at peace. Have you ever thought about making a new deal with the night? Until now, every time you've gone to bed, you've entered a battle. Your body lies down, but your mind takes up arms. Your heart races as if to say, something's about to happen. The night, which should be a shelter, turns into a battlefield. But what if, starting today, you created a new pact with her? A silent agreement that said, "I will no longer resist. I will listen. I will integrate." Jordan Peterson talks a lot about the symbolism of rituals. He says that how you approach life's repetitive moments determines the level of order you can establish in the chaos. Sleep is one of those moments. Every night you have the chance to navigate the chaos, or be swallowed by it. And this pact starts very simply. Before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what inside me is still moving? Not to try to solve everything, but to become aware. Sometimes just naming what you feel takes half the weight off. You can do this with a pen and paper. 3 minutes before bed, write, "Today I'm feeling," and complete, without censorship, anger, guilt, fear, frustration, anguish. Be truthful. It's like opening a window so the inner room of your mind can breathe. Peterson also suggests what he calls dragon dialogue. The dragon in this case is your anxiety. Don't fight it. Ask it what it wants to say, and then listen quietly. This technique may seem strange at first, but it's deeply symbolic. You stop resisting, and you begin to collaborate with your own mind. You begin to act as your own ally, and no longer as your enemy. Furthermore, this new pact with the night includes a new perspective on insomnia, no longer as a failure, but as an invitation to be present, an invitation to take care of yourself. Today, when you turn out the lights, think, this darkness doesn't have to swallow me. It can embrace me. And instead of forcing sleep, give your body rest. Say, you can breathe. Instead of demanding calm, say, I accept the restlessness. Instead of running away, say, I am here. Sleep will come, not as an immediate response, but as an inevitable consequence of those who have stopped running. You can transform your bedroom into a place of reconnection, a symbolic sanctuary, free from lights, noise, and judgment, where all you need is to be whole, imperfect, but present. If you feel this resonates, like and subscribe. This video might find someone else who's awake right now, their heart racing, and you'll have been a bridge to that. Think about it. Would you trust someone who always ignores you? Would you trust someone who says they'll take care of you but abandons you when you need them most? Would you trust someone who tells you to shut up when you try to speak? Because that's exactly what your body feels when you force it to sleep without listening to what it's trying to tell you. The body is wise. It doesn't sleep on a whim. It doesn't make your heart race for no reason. It doesn't keep you awake just to punish you. It's asking for trust. And trust cannot be bought, demanded, or forced. Trust is earned. Jordan Peterson often says, you have no idea how much potential lies within you until you begin to act like someone worthy of trust for yourself. This means that sleep only comes when the body realizes it can surrender without fear. After all, sleeping is an act of vulnerability. Think about animals. They only sleep deeply when they feel the environment is safe. If they're in hostile territory, they remain alert. Humans are no different. Your bedroom may be peaceful, but if your mind is at war, your body understands. It's not safe to let your guard down. And here's the bottom line. You're not sleeping because your body doesn't trust you to take care of it. And how do you get that trust back? First, stop treating it like an enemy. Your body isn't against you. It's trying to protect you from what you didn't have the courage to face. The racing heart, the cold sweat, the heavy breathing. It's all a system telling you, hey, something inside you needs attention. Second, establish a self-care routine. Not to control your sleep, but to show your body that you're there for it. Eat a balanced diet, reduce stimuli before bed, turn off screens, and take deep breaths. These aren't cliches. They're signs that you're willing to cooperate, not fight. Third, learn to communicate with your body. When your chest tightens, instead of saying, "This shouldn't be happening," say, "I know you're scared, and I'm here." This simple shift in self-talk creates an environment of trust. Fourth, practice what Peterson calls micro-courage, small acts of daily confrontation that show your body that you are trustworthy. It could be saying no when you would normally say yes, just to please. It could be speaking a difficult truth. It could be admitting a mistake. These daily actions reinforce that you are someone capable of sustaining your own life. When you start living like this, your body understands, I can rest, it's taking care of us. And that's when sleep returns. Not because you've overcome anxiety, but because you've become confident in yourself. So if anxiety creeps in tonight, don't panic. Remember, your body isn't the enemy. It's the guardian. It just needs to trust you to finally shut down. And that trust starts now, with small but true choices. Do you remember being a child and afraid of the dark? The room was silent, but your mind conjured up monsters. Sometimes, all it took was a distant noise or a strange shadow to make you feel unsafe. And what did you do? You sought shelter. You ran to your parents' bed, pulled the covers over your face, or clutched a pillow as a shield. Now understand something. Nighttime anxiety is the same mechanism, only in an adult version. The body continues to seek shelter. The problem is, over time, you've lost the way back. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about the importance of the symbolic home. He's not just referring to the physical house, but to an internal state of security that you build for yourself. When this state is disorganized, you can live in a silent mansion and still feel in danger. Therefore, recovering sleep involves recovering this symbolic shelter. But what does this mean in practice? It means creating a mental space within yourself where you don't have to defend yourself. It means transforming your bedroom into a place of reconciliation, not war. At night, when anxiety arises, instead of saying, I can't feel this, say, I have a place to hold this. This place can be imagined. It can be a garden, a temple, a cabin. It can be a memory of when you felt truly safe. Jungian psychology calls this the archetypal image. It's a symbol that communicates security to the unconscious. When you access this image, your body understands, I can rest. Peterson emphasizes that symbols are not illusions but ways of reorganizing the psyche. When you visualize an inner shelter, you are sending a clear message. I am not lost. I have a place to rest. And what's more, shelter doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means fear has a place to exist without engulfing you. It's like bringing the storm into a house with sturdy walls. The wind may blow outside, but you're protected. In practice, try this exercise. Before you go to sleep, close your eyes and imagine a scene of shelter. It could be the lap of someone you loved, the silence of a mountain, or a memory of a time when you felt protected. Breathe deeply and place yourself within that image. Say mentally, here, I can rest. This simple gesture is a symbolic reprogramming. You're teaching your body that it doesn't need to fight to exist at night. And when the body senses this, it begins to release sleep. Because, in the end, sleeping is returning to shelter. Not just a physical shelter, but a psychological one. And perhaps this is the greatest lesson from your nighttime anxiety. You didn't lose sleep. You lost your inner shelter. But you can rebuild it, brick by brick, night after night, with patience, with acceptance, with truth. And when you find that shelter again, sleep will no longer be something to be earned. It will become a natural visitor, knocking on your door because it knows you finally have a home to welcome it. There's a huge difference between chasing sleep and letting it come to you. For a long time, you've struggled to catch sleep, as if it were an object you could grasp. But sleep isn't achieved by force. Sleep chooses. It approaches when it feels confident. And herein lies one of anxiety's cruelest paradoxes. The more you chase sleep, the further it eludes you. But when you stop chasing it, it comes. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally learned to wait. Jordan Peterson would say this is the same principle as chaos and order. When you face the shadow instead of running from it, the chaos begins to reorganize itself. When you look at anxiety with acceptance, the body understands the danger has passed, and only then does sleep return. Maybe you've experienced this without realizing it. Some night when, after hours of struggling, you finally sighed and said, "You know what? I'm not going to fight this anymore." And suddenly, without warning, you fell asleep. That's the moment sleep chose you. But how do you make this a recurring thing, not just a rare accident? First, you need to understand that sleep is a reflection of your internal state. There's no point in trying to manipulate it like someone forcing a machine. Sleep is a consequence of balance. When you embrace anxiety, when you create inner shelter, when you act with honesty, sleep comes naturally. Second, you need to stop measuring your night by the number of hours slept. Measuring only creates more pressure, and pressure is the poison of insomnia. Instead, learn to value the rest that comes, even if it's just a little. Tell yourself, rest is enough for now. This shift reduces the weight of internal pressure, and sleep, ironically, comes more easily. Third, cultivate small moments of surrender throughout the day. Nighttime sleep doesn't begin at midnight, it begins in the morning in how you approach life. If you live on constant alert, your body learns never to let its guard down. But if you create pauses, breathe, observe, slow down, your body learns there's room for rest. And finally, learn to recognize the signs that sleep is approaching. Your body feels heavier, your breathing deepens, your thoughts become less clear. Don't force it, don't get carried away, just allow it. It's like receiving a silent visitor. If you make too much noise, they'll leave. That's the secret, let sleep choose you. Peterson would say that sleep is like a shadow you can't catch, but that begins to walk beside you when you accept that it has a life of its own. It's not control, it's trust. It's not effort, it's surrender. And here's the bottom line for this chapter. Sleep always returns. It never truly abandoned you. It was just waiting for you to stop fighting yourself. If this reflection touched your heart, subscribe and like. There are people right now, this very minute, with their eyes open, suffocating with anxiety. You can help this video reach them. We've reached the most important point of this journey. After navigating the chaos of nighttime anxiety, understanding the theater of the mind, stopping the false war against sleep, and learning to rebuild your inner shelter, now it's time to choose. Yes, choose. Because in the end, all true change is born from an inner decision. Will you continue fighting yourself, or will you choose to embrace who you are? Jordan Peterson often says, life is suffering, but you can choose which kind of suffering you want to face, the suffering of discipline or the suffering of chaos. This phrase applies directly to what we're talking about here. You can choose to continue suffering the insomnia of those who run from their own truth, or you can choose the courageous suffering of looking within, accepting anxiety, and creating order from it. And this act of choice isn't grand, cinematic. It's silent. It happens now when you take a deep breath and say, I accept who I am. I accept what I feel. I will no longer abandon myself. This is the essence of acceptance. Because deep down, nighttime anxiety is the cry of a part of you that has felt abandoned for a long time, perhaps since childhood, perhaps since a recent trauma, perhaps since a series of small denials that have been accumulating. What she wants isn't to destroy you. What she wants is to be recognized. She's like a child throwing a tantrum because she needs attention. And when you finally look her in the eye and say, I see you, I'm here, she calms down. Sleep is a consequence of this welcoming gesture. It's not a prize you need to earn. It's not an enemy to be defeated. It's the body's natural response when it realizes it can trust you again. So tonight, when you go to bed, don't go to war. Don't force yourself to sleep. Don't torture yourself with phrases like, I'll be exhausted tomorrow if I don't sleep now. Instead, make a simple pact. Today I welcome myself. Today I accept anxiety without fear. Today I allow sleep to come when it wants. And if sleep doesn't come immediately, that's okay. You'll still be practicing trust. You'll be teaching your body that it no longer needs to live in a state of constant alert. You'll be rebuilding, night after night, the inner home it lost. Peterson would say, this is the beginning of order. When you stop fighting your own shadow, you begin to reorganize your inner world. And when your inner world begins to align, your outer world also transforms. Your life doesn't have to be defined by anxiety. It can be marked by the courage to face yourself with honesty and compassion. So choose. Choose today not to fight the night. Choose to embrace. Choose to rest. And if sleep takes a long time, don't despair. Just keep breathing. Stay present. Keep being true. Because inevitably, sleep always returns. And when he returns, it will be different. It will not be the sleep of an exhausted body that faints, but the sleep of a soul that has found shelter. Today you can step down from the battlefield. Today you can rest in yourself. Today you can finally return home. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and leave a like. This could bring comfort to someone who right now, at this very moment, is struggling alone with their own night. And you will have been part of that encounter.